Richard Arnold and John Murtough give an interview where John Murtough pretty much confirms Manchester United will not spend in January, and this summer they will not spend the kind of money they spent last summer, basically confirming they're throwing Ten Hag under the bus. Now, talking of Ten Hag, how is he going to respond to the leaks around Maguire blaming teammates for his poor form? It seems Maguire will not be captain of Man United much longer. Could Ten Hag strip him of captaincy, and how will Ten Hag react to this?
So in today's video, we're going to be getting into John Murtough and Richard Arnold's interview they gave yesterday after all the financial information came out about the Glazers taking out money in dividends, the debt at Manchester United and more. We're going to get into their interview, what they said, and we're also going to talk about Ten Hag and his response to obviously sources close to Maguire saying it's not Maguire's fault he's poor, how Ten Hag's going to respond to that, could Maguire lose captaincy and more. So smash that like button and of course subscribe down below if you're new. But let's go right into the video and let's start with what Richard Arnold had to say, and then we're going to go into what John Murtough had to say. And I think what John Murtough had to say actually is the most interesting thing, so do stay put for that. And then we will obviously dive into the Ten Hag Maguire situation. Basically, a lot of reports and indication Maguire's not going to be captain for much longer. But in the comments before I get into the video, let me know, who do you think should be Manchester United's next captain? Boom. Let's get it. Oh, that was a loud slap, wasn't it? Let's get into what Richard Arnold had to say. And I'm just going to say, guys, this is obviously PR. This has come out of, this has come out of Arnold and Murtough's mouth. This is PR. We know that they're talks, PR, imagery and all of that. I'm not a fool. I'm just telling you what they've said in their interview. Mr. Richard Arnold said, "The main mission of our club is to win football matches and entertain our fans. Since our last quarterly result, we have reinforced the squad of our men's team and carried out a successful summer tour." You've invested in the squad. We've had a couple of wins and you did have a good summer tour. But you're not talking about how the transfer window was left very late and how you could have got Anthony for 40 million, then you went and got him for 100 million. You're not talking about how you sat down with United fans in the pub and said we're going to get De Jong. You've not given us an answer for that. You're not going to talk about the failures and why we did business so late when other teams did business early. No. Of course you're not. But then Richard Arnold did also say, regarding the main mission of the club as well, to establish a foundation on which we can build for the 22-23 season under new manager Erik Ten Hag. Then talking about, the long-term plans and all of that. And what Richard Arnold said is, "We know the strength of Manchester United is built on the passion and loyalty of our fans, which is why we've made a fan engagement strategic priority." Apparently fan engagement at United's now a strategic priority. For my fucking arse, honestly. I mean, a load of crap. Oh, well, the number one thing at United is the loyalty of the fans, the strength of the fans and all of that. He's come out and said all of that. All right, well, listen to the fans. Listen to the fans, resign and get someone good in that actually knows football to do your job, because you're a banker, you're a rugby man. What the fans want is United to be ambitious, back Ten Hag, and not do this crap, or we don't have money in January, then we see the 34 million in dividends coming out. Richard Arnold then said this, and this is interesting. He said, "Everyone at the club is aligned on a clear strategy to achieving lasting success on the pitch and a sustainable business model, to the mutual benefit of fans, shareholders and stakeholders." But you know what? He basically says it all. Success on the pitch and a sustainable business model. Now, we could be referring to the fact that we were even more debt this year. The debt's gone up £150 million this year. It's not sustainable. We could be talking about that, but we really know he's talking about money the club brings in terms of the Glazers' pockets, to benefit the fans, but also the shareholder and stakeholders. Obviously, they want to benefit the fans, but they've also got to mention that it's about benefiting the shareholders and stakeholders, because United is ran like a bloody business. And the last thing Richard Arnold said, before we get into John Murtough's comments, which were the most interesting, is in response to United's performance on the pitch last season, we have made important and necessary changes, including new leadership for the men's team under Erik Ten Hag and the strengthening of the playing squad during the summer transfer window. Saying, we strengthened the squad during the summer transfer window, we've got a new leader in Ten Hag, we've improved the squad. We have, but you didn't really want to improve the squad, you were kind of forced into it by the Glazer out protest. But let's obviously get into what John Murtough had to say and all of that, because I think what John Murtough had to say is the most interesting bit. And John Murtough said, regarding United, there's still a long way to go, but we have already seen during his, regarding Ten Hag's first 4 months in charge, an increased unity, focus and drive that bodes well for the future. And I mean, he's 100% correct. United look more united, they look more together, You know, this team has a complete new unity. People have come out of the dressing room saying it's a much better vibe. The players are working together. The players seem to love each other. Like, in that aspect, things do look a lot better at Manchester United as well, which, you know, that is factually correct. But then this is what John Murtough had to say. Overall, we're ahead of schedule in our recruitment plans as envisioned at the start of the summer. And we do not anticipate the same level of activity in future windows. As always, our planning focuses on the summer window. This is what John Murtough had to say, and this is what I spent 5 minutes waffling to actually get into. That is John Murtough coming out and saying pretty much we're ahead of schedule with our recruitment plans because Ten Hag's an organised guy. Ten Hag's probably told them who he wants. And even though they say they're ahead of schedule, wait for us to be scrapping in August for a player come summer. But he's saying we do not anticipate to do the same level of activity in future transfer windows. Basically came out and said, we're not going to spend the same kind of money we spent last summer in future transfer windows. And then he comes out and says we are solely focused on the summer. So that's John Murtough basically coming out and saying we're not going to spend in January, and next summer we're not going to spend the kind of money we spent this summer. You know, basically admitting they're going to throw Ten Hag under the bus because they're idiots. And, you know, the funny thing was, what did Erik Ten Hag say after the Sheriff game? We will have many meetings. We have to improve the structures in and around the club. We will also look to the window in January or next summer already, but also to improve our way of play by making plans. That's what he said. So Ten Hag's coming out saying, we'll look in January. He wants to make plans, he wants to improve his things. Ten Hag's obviously organised loads of meetings in this international break with the board to get plans, and the board come out and say, the day that it's released that the Glazers take 34 million out of the club and the debt goes up 22%, John Murtough says, I don't expect to spend that much money this summer, basically. You know, the money we spent this summer, I don't expect to spend again. And basically he also said we're focused on the summer. You know, there's 30 days in January. No. They don't want to spend money. And that brings me to Ten Hag, who obviously wants players in. Ten Hag's obviously said he wants to have big structural changes around the club, potentially bring players in January, but we know Ten Hag's not going to get that. We also know, obviously, the Maguire leaks going around where sources close to Maguire have blamed everyone but his, basically his teammates, but not Maguire for his poor form, which we know Ten Hag won't be happy about. You know, people were annoyed for some reason that Brandon Williams came out in an interview defending Maguire and talking about how amazing Maguire is. Ten Hag will like that. But if a Man United player comes out or a leak comes out about a United player blaming his teammates, saying his teammates are the reason he doesn't play well, that does not look good for the dressing room. Even if it was Jadon Sancho slagging off Maguire, I'd be angry at Jadon Sancho for slagging off Maguire. Even if someone like Jadon Sancho came out and said Maguire had a poor season, I'd be annoyed at Jadon Sancho for coming out and saying that publicly. And I'm annoyed that Maguire's let these leaks come out about him basically saying it's De Gea's fault, he's poor, if he played for Man City he'd be better. That's not the mentality you should have as United captain. The mentality you should have if you're captain of United is, I'm a winner, I've got to do better, I'm not going to blame people around me, it's a team game. And Ten Hag's not going to like those leaks. And now, obviously, the leaks didn't come directly from Maguire. They've probably come from a sibling trying to defend him. Maguire's the worst PR team ever. But Ten Hag's not going to like those leaks. And we know that Ten Hag doesn't plan on keeping Maguire captain past the season. He can't even get in the lineup with Lissandro Martinez, Eriksen and Varane and Bruno, the captain candidates. I mean, what would you do with Harry Maguire? But I get a strong impression Ten Hag doesn't like Maguire. Well, doesn't like him, but doesn't kind of like him as a captain. I don't think he'll be captain. Get the impression Ten Hag wants structure changes at Man United, which unfortunately he's not going to get. A captaincy change, which probably he won't be allowed to do till next summer. But also, we know Ten Hag wants January investment. And the board have basically come out and said, don't expect anything in January. So let me know your thoughts on all that below. Just getting into Murtough Arnold's interview and also talking about Ten Hag and his reaction to Maguire. Smash that like button, subscribe down below, share the video. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.